Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Big Shot Podcast. This is the place where we bring the fun back to photography, and we are on episode 2. Hard to believe we've been going at it that long, but episode 2. But hey, we are joined today with my partner in crime, Mark Behrens, world-famous Mark Behrens, not just Mark Behrens. There's a lot of Mark Behrens out there in the world.
Hey, it's kind of fun to finally be on the show.
I know.
All of the other shows, you did it, and I wasn't there. So, but I've been working on, I think, we need an introduction song, because there's something that, and I'm kind of got it started here. So it goes something like this. That's all I got.
I love it.
I'm starting on that beginning.
For you out of there that are watching this, I think you're probably, if you haven't hung up the line already, you're wondering what in the world are these guys all about? And that's what the purpose of today's episode of the Big Shot Podcast is. What in the world is this thing all about? But in case you did not view episode 1 where I was running solo, the Big Shot Podcast, we're going to be interviewing and talking with the big shots in the photography industry throughout every episode. And what a better way to start out with two of the absolute biggest big shots out there, the Chopstick Guys. And in case you don't know who we are, you're just like everybody else. Nobody does. But that's okay. But the whole thing is we don't take ourselves too seriously. We are working photographers. At least, Mark, we try to pretend like we're working photographers.
Yeah, most days it feels like we are. But, there's those times where I think our spouses question us, or we question ourselves of,
question each other.
Is this really work? So we find ourselves in some very unique situations sometimes that I kind of have to pinch myself and go, I can't believe I get to do this for a living.
Yeah, no, but, it's super fun. The whole thing, like I had said, like we don't take ourselves too seriously. We do take our photography seriously, but we have to have fun doing it. And that's the whole goal. If you can't have fun in photography, get out.
It is, because you know what? I always tell people that's what got you into photography in the first place.
Yep.
We get excited about it. We have fun doing it. And then we go, how do we make a living doing this? And then very quickly we become too serious.
Yeah.
And photography's not meant to be serious. It's art.
Not at all. So, Mark, tell me this.
Yes.
Let's kind of just jump in, right? And we'll give some of our background along the way, but you've been a photographer for a long time.
I have been.
So tell me, what's your claim to fame in photography?
So, I think my claim to fame is I started out in video. So that was kind of my introduction to composing, which is in this visual arts, was in doing video work. I did commercial work. I did a lot of weddings back in the late 80s, early 90s, and that transitioned into photography. And I fell in love with photography. And if I were to say anything that I would think my claim to fame is, I believe it was about 2010, right in there somewhere, is I came out with a video series called The Lighting Asylum, where I taught people.
Really old, back to 2010.
Yes, and people were getting DVDs that I was selling, and it was teaching people off-camera flash. And so my claim to fame, I think, is just I love teaching photography more than I like even doing photography some days. So,
let's
throw it.
Yeah,
let me throw it back to you.
Okay.
Then, what is your claim to fame in photography? Since we're kind of getting to know each other on the podcast here.
You know what? I was born a long time ago, and I was kind of born. My mom was really surprised because I had this camera that I came out with right from the womb. It's like, wow, you got a camera?
That's uncomfortable.
But I've been shooting a long time. Basically shooting since high school, seriously shooting, and really got into it, 15, 18 years ago, and it changed my life, really. I just love the photography business. But here's I think my claim to fame, if I'm going to hang my hat on anything, is I have shot hundreds of concerts. One of the things that I love to do in shooting is I love to shoot music stuff. I like music. I love music. I love shooting musical acts. I love it. And so I've gotten to shoot the biggest acts around, and it's just And I think I'm pretty good at it, right? I'm not the best. I look up to a lot of these guys that just are killer concert photographers, but that's probably one of my claim to fame is just I shoot a lot of concert stuff.
All right. So, and don't sell yourself short. Those of you have seen Steve's work knows that he is one of the best concert photographers around. And so let me ask you this question, Mark. This is really serious. So I know how much you love music.
Yeah.
But if your photography had a soundtrack, what genre of music would your photography be?
Oh, it's definitely yodeling. No. There's nothing like a good yodel. Yodeling, hee-hoo, click. But no, that's a good question. So genre. So here's what I would say. So right now, like my musical taste change all the time. I go through these seasons, right? Of seasons. I could be a heavy metal guy. I could be a rap guy. I could be classical. It's really switches up. It's kind of weird. My wife thinks it's weird because I play radio roulette all the time. Like if we're in the car, like, next song, there might be something better.
That's the only game to play when you're traveling.
But here's the thing: if my photography was a genre, I would say it would be a cappella vocals. Right? First of all, I just love vocals, but I think it's because I like a cappella vocals. Blend is really important. So if one person is off, the whole song is off.
Okay.
But photography, if one of your settings is off, the whole picture is off, right? So I like to make sure that my composition, my camera settings are right, my pose is right if I'm shooting a subject, if my landscape, my timing is right for the time of day. That's what I think it is. It's like it is a great a cappella song. Think of my photography as pentatonics. Just beautiful vocals together. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Definitely.
Okay.
So, yeah, I think that's where I would go with that. Make sense?
It does. Total.
Okay.
So
let's kind of just dive into maybe this will give people a little bit more feeling of who we are as photographers. But if you think of your creative process, right, in photography and your techniques, like what kind of makes you tick when you're being creative in pictures?
You know what? I think when I go into a shoot, when I go into some type of project, I already have it in my mind what I want to come out with.
Yeah.
I can visualize already exactly what that finished picture is going to look like. And I think as a artist, as a photographer, it's also frustrating because rarely do we ever get the picture that we see in our head. Because, again, we go, I'm going to be up on this mountaintop and I'm going to have this flowing dress. And next thing you know, the wind's blowing 30 miles an hour and everything's going sideways. And you're going, I was going to use the large softbox. Now I'm just going to use a bare cone. Like things just go wrong. But
never go wrong.
Exactly. So I always come in knowing what I want to do. And again, that can be internally frustrating because we've had this discussion before. A lot of times when I get to something, I'll shoot it. I'll immediately look at the back of my camera and know I'm not going to get where I want to be. That picture, no matter what I do, is not going to create the image I wanted. And so my thought process is I got to change something. I got to move. I got to scrap this setup and go somewhere else. I got to change my angle. I got to change my lighting. And that's not always good.
Yeah.
Because for the people around me, they're going, no, let's make it work. Let's slow down. And in my mind, I'm saying, yeah, I'm slowing down, but I need to scrap this so I can take time because otherwise I'm going to have to hurry because I'm constantly going to not get the image I want, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does make sense. Do you think that's something that you've learned throughout your journey, or is it something that just you've always done?
No, it definitely is something that I've learned. It's once we start creating our own style, I think, again, once we see in our mind the picture we want to come up with, I think that's really our style, is what we're internally seeing. And so I've just learned over the years that if the end product is not going to produce the image I want, I'm wasting my time, trying to get there. So you start learning immediately. Like I said, you look at the back of the camera and I go, I'm not going to get there. I gotta change. I gotta move, or I gotta walk away.
No, that makes total sense. Yeah, I think I can count myself in that camp too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think maybe I'm not as aggressive, maybe it's the right word to say it, as you are on that. Like, I know shooting with you, you like to move a lot. You're okay, done, go,
Done.
next.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, I try to get that shot, but you know, it's like you're ready to go. But yeah, no, I'm right there with you. So it sounds like that's kind of that's become your comfort zone, right? Is just, that's where you hang, is in that, I got to just get that one shot and move on, you know, because probably if you're like me, and let me ask you this question, just, do you think that you have more joy in clicking the shutter or seeing the results?
100% seeing the results. And I don't know if that is the answer everybody gives.
I don't think it
like,
is.
I think a lot of people, I think, just like the process. I have fun doing the process. I enjoy being out taking photos, but I really enjoy having that final image that I can just go, wow. It's like, I guess I equate it to like painting. There's joy, I'm sure, in creating, but then to stick it on the wall and to step back, you're like, that's the culmination of all my work. That's what I tried to do there.
Good. Yeah, you and I both are alike in this fact, is we can go out and we do a shoot together. We're shooting, you know, a corporate job or whatever we're doing. I can't wait to get back to the studio to download the pictures and look at them.
Yeah.
Right. So I think I maybe enjoy that more than the actual, you know, clicking the shutter. So no, that makes sense. So like if you're in that comfort zone, and let me ask you this fun question. If you had to shoot something that is way outside, completely outside of your comfort zone, what would that be? Like, that would just like get you all, how do I do it?
A model from Brazil put me way out of it. So there's a funny story behind that one, and maybe one day.
Why don't you tell us that funny story, huh? So I want to tell that funny story.
Okay, tell the funny
that will give
story.
people a good insight. So we've got this model friend from Brazil, and she's the sweetest girl you'll ever meet. Just really, really fun to hang out with. So one day we're shooting a video for our YouTube channel, and she's got this beautiful Portuguese accent, and she rolls every R, right? So we just got through taking a bunch of test shots for this video, photography shots. So I got a Chevy Suburban, and we always take that out to our photo shoots because we can load up all our gear in it. So I got the tailgate up on that thing, and Mark's sitting on the back end of the Suburban, kind of in the back cargo area. And so Julia,
I'm just flipping through. I'm flipping through my pictures on the back of my camera.
Mark, let me see your photos. And she scooted right next to Mark, and watching him squirm of uncomfortableness was it was so funny, because she's, oh, Mark, that's a great photo of me, Mark. And
I felt like a 14.
He did.
I felt like a 14-year-old boy. I just was frozen, and holding my camera and going, see, here.
She meant nothing bad about it.
No.
Zero. There was nothing bad about it at all. But it's so funny because you were just so uncomfortable and out of your comfort zone to have her just kind of scooch just to look at the picture, and just her rolling of the R's. It was one of my memories that I will remember forever, that I just...
Yeah, that just came to my mind. It's just something very, very funny. But something though that is out of my comfort zone, believe it or not, it's food photography. You know what? I've actually had some clients that have had me do food photography, and I have one that I'm thinking I did pretty good. I did which is something I love. I photographed for a guy who has a taco truck, and he would make the tacos. I would photograph it. I would eat the tacos, and then I'd say, "What else you got?" And he'd start making me this. It was wonderful. But food photography, that is out of my comfort zone, because that, to me, that composing of the photo, it's not the lighting, it's not the shooting of it, it's the creating a composition. People that can do that well, man, my hats off. So I don't have a hat on there. My hat is off to those who can do that well,
I
because
suck at it.
I am terrible at that. And it scares me when people go, "Hey, can you do some food photography?" I don't like to shy away from saying no to things, but that scares me.
I want to punch myself every time I'm at a restaurant because I try to take a picture of my food on my plate. Like, that's stupid looking. And then there's other people that I'm with, like, ooh, watch this. Oh, look at that. I mean, it looks like it's ready for, Epicure magazine, like ready to be published. And mine is just, oh, there's a crooked plate with a half-eaten burrito on the plate.
Yeah.
It looks dumb. Really dumb. All right. Now that makes sense.
Yeah. So again, you said you love shooting music stuff.
Yep.
So tell me, what is your favorite type of shooting you like to do today? Is it still music?
It's really anything that has to do with people, right?
Okay.
Music is kind of my relaxation point of photography. I was explaining it to somebody the other day. So I just shot, Chris Tomlin 2 weeks ago. Great concert, full access,
Great photos.
Spent some time with him before the concert. It's just I realized my camera has allowed me to get to meet people and talk to people that I would never normally get to meet. But that when I'm shooting a concert, I almost can envision myself being out of my body, right? Like, it sounds weird. I'm having an out-of-body experience, but the whole thing is that I get into this zone where I am one with the music and the musician. So when I had you come and shoot the first concert with me ever that you shot,
yep,
right, and I was telling you some hints on, like, you got to feel it, you got to feel the beat, you got to realize your shutter is going with certain actions, certain beats, right? So drumsticks, upbeat, right? So, like, boom, you'll click it. So those kind of things. So I get in this zone where I don't think, it's just happening. I'm one with the music, one with that. So that's very relaxing to me because it's right where I am. It's my comfort zone. But the thing that I just love is anything that has to do with people, and it's funny because when I grew up, and I was saying, I've been shooting seriously since high school, like, I hated having people in my picture. If you were in my picture, you ruined my shot.
Exactly.
It was all about pictures of gorgeous landscapes and things, and I like, old grungy things and stuff. But, like, get out of my picture. You're ruining that picture. Nowadays, I love having people in the pictures, but I love taking pictures of people. One of my most memorable, like, experiences of taking pictures happened a few years ago. I had the opportunity to take some photographs of Louis Zamperini, and he was the guy. I don't know if you saw it. It's like 4 years ago, 5 years ago now. The movie came out called Unbroken.
Yeah, the guy that was captured by
he was captured,
the Japanese and
right, prisoner of war, captured during the war, and he was an Olympic athlete, and the book came out Unbroken, and the movie came out Unbroken, and fantastic.
And he married Angelina Jolie or something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In the movie, or his wife or something was in the movie, right?
But so he's one of my just heroes in life because the guy is just amazing. He actually passed away not too long ago, but I got 15 minutes of one-on-one time talking to him before we did any pictures. And those times of just, like, hanging out with somebody that is a life changer, that is just incredible. And then being able to capture, and one of the shots I got of him, so his hands, he was beaten in the prisoner of war camp that he was in. His hands were beaten so bad that they became very crooked and, covered with, he's got, bad
arthritis.
Arthritis, thank you.
Okay.
I'm wiggling my hands like that's going to tell me what it is, but it's arthritis. So, but he just had his hands kind of folded together, and it's just a tight shot of his hands, which just explained everything through one image. So I love to be able to do that. And those are the things that I hang on, like, my memories of why I love photography.
That's awesome. I was going to ask you if you had some, like, inside story that, and you did that. You told us that, I can visualize. You've shown me the picture before, but like right now I can see it in my head of just those gnarled fingers and.
No, it's interesting, and then, like, the flip side of that was for you, because we all have these, Like, are there any funny moments, like funny stories of things that were unexpected or something that happened? I got one in my head that we were together when it happened, but
so tell me your story as I start thinking through something.
So we were out. We had a huge corporate headshot job that we were doing, tons of headshots. Right? And one thing I think we are pretty doggone good at is our headshot stuff. We've got the process dialed in where the shots look great, right? There's nobody has ever complained about our headshots, except for this time. So we're getting towards the end of day 3 of shooting these headshots for this company. This lady walks in, and I want to be real careful of how I phrase this because I'm not trying to offend anybody, but she was not the best looking lady that you've ever shot, right? So she comes in, and we have it, like I say, dialed in where we can do a multi-session headshot in 3 minutes per person. I take her pictures, and we do everything tethered, so they come around, they look at the pictures, they approve them before they leave. So the lady comes, and she gives me one of those.
And just remember, we did 250 people over this time. Yeah. So she was probably, person number 160, 170 coming in. So we've had a great day. Everybody's going, I love it. That's good. I love that one. That's perfect.
Yeah, we got like instant approval on everything.
Yes.
There were very few retakes. So she comes around to the computer right next to me, and she goes, it's that face of like shock. Like she goes, oh my God. And it was the longest God you ever heard, right? And I'm like, I look at her like, what are you talking about? She goes, I cannot believe. And her voice is getting deeper, like she's got a demon inside or something. I'm getting a little scared. You're looking at me with a big grin on your face.
I was.
And I had no idea what she's talking about at this point because I thought her picture looked good. And she goes, that is the worst picture I have ever seen of not just me, but anybody in my life. And she said it with attitude, more attitude than even I could.
And I almost lost it. I was laughing so hard behind her when she said that. Watching Steve's face of, what do I say?
Yeah. So we had a coordinator, right, working with us that day that corralled everybody together. She's like looking at, the look on her face was the half of shock and disbelief, and the other half was like, because she knew this lady was not the. So I said, what's the matter? She goes, I am just ugly in that picture. And I want to say, well, lady, you're kind of ugly to begin with, but it's not just the picture. The cameras don't lie. But it was so funny. Funny now. It wasn't funny then because you were laughing at me, not with me, at me.
Oh, no, I was laughing at you.
Yeah.
Totally.
And so, I said, okay, we'll do a retake tomorrow morning. You can change outfits. You can do whatever. Well, she came back in the next morning. And first thing, really like 6:30 in the morning. She comes in, all gussied up. I don't think she looked any different, but she said she took hours in prepping. She sits down, take the picture, and she goes, fine, if that's all you can do, if that's the best you can do, if you're that good of a photographer, I would have imagined a lot better from you. Like, okay, lady. But
so the HR person was in there with us. That's who was helping us. And I remember she kept turning to her going, can't you just use the photo I sent you? The photo I sent you? And she kept saying, no, let's just call the lady Jan. And she's like, no, Jan, we can't use that photo. And she's like, but that one's so much better. And she kept using the word literally. This is literally the worst photo I've ever taken. It literally is the worst photo. This is literally disgusting. And then she brought up her picture and said, use this picture. And it was her, I was going to say literally, she had taken it with her cell phone over her head. She had to hold that phone directly above and was looking straight up into the camera, straight down on her, because you could kind of just see everything go out of focus. And it didn't even look like her. It just... So... But don't get me started. I was going to say, that segues right into Instagram and cell phones have... I'm going to say destroyed our industry. It hasn't destroyed it. It has changed our industry because everybody has the ability to move their camera around and find the angle they like what
this.
they think looks good, and throw a filter on there. And then when they get a real photo of themselves, they're like, that's not what I look like. And us as photographers are going, yeah, it is. That's exactly what you look like.
That's you, lady. That's what you look like.
And we always laugh because we always say when people tell us, like, that doesn't look like the kind of picture I want of me, in our minds, we're thinking, do you not understand that the face you have, everybody sees it every day. Everybody that knows you knows exactly what you look like, you know. Exactly. You're cross-eyed. Like, everybody knows it. If you got a gap in your teeth, everybody knows it. Like, why would I say, can you close the gap in my front teeth? Like, who am I fooling other than myself? So
yeah, that was, yeah. So that was my story.
Another discussion.
Did you have a story?
You know, that story was so funny that I don't think I can top it because,
I'm
perfect.
Sure you're just perfect, right?
It is. Yeah.
Okay, well, then let me ask you this, okay? This is a fun question. So if you were to have the ability to teleport yourself anywhere, that's anywhere in the world or any situation, that you could go to do a photo shoot, where would that be and who would it be? You could either answer where or the who or both.
Okay.
But
I think you and I'm going to say something that you're going to go, you stole my answer. That's exactly what I would say. You've done this before. I think right now, if I could teleport myself anywhere, and as much as you and I have talked about, it's all about taking pictures of people, an African safari. That is the top of my bucket list, is going on an African safari. So
if you're listening to this podcast and you've gotten this far into this babble, and you want to sponsor the Chopstick Guys to go on an African safari and support your company, we would be happy to do that.
Yeah, I would love to give you photography tips along the way. And so I work cheap.
Dude, I'm right there with you. Like, and I have been on a safari. And, when I start talking about safari, like, I can't stop. It truly is the most magical thing. Because when you're on an African safari, and particularly like in Kenya, that's kind of thought as like, they say the oldest human being remains were found in Kenya. So you can think of it kind of as the
cradle of civilization.
Cradle of civilization, and I don't know if that's true or not, but you have this almost spiritual feeling when you're in Africa.
You're in the Garden of Eden.
You are. It's
possibly,
and I told you the stories where we had, a lioness jump up on top of our safari vehicle, right? And you can't do anything but just sit there and like, okay, let's shoot this situation. But you're half of it, you're scared to death, and the other half like, this is amazing, because you're 6 feet away from a wild lion, but you're just seeing all these animals. So yeah, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Love it. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So with that in mind, you talked about, what would be my dream. I was going to ask you if there was somebody, if you could shoot, let's ask it this way. If there was somebody that you could shoot pictures with. So this is a little bit of like who inspires you, who influences your photography the most. So with that idea, if you could choose any photographer, living or dead, I guess I'd ask that correctly. You could bring them back to life if they were dead. Who would that person be that you would want to shoot with today? Anywhere in the world, any subject, just you had a day with them as your personal teacher.
You might know who my answer would be, because it's somebody is photography, and I've met him as far as saying, hello, thank you, nice to meet you. Yeah. Other than that, I've never talked to the guy, but it's Joe McNally.
Mm-hmm.
Because I respect him so much as a working photographer. There's a lot of photographers out there that you see on YouTube and stuff that are, they're influencer stars, right? They're not even photographers. They talk about photography, but they don't do anything, right? We shoot pictures for a living, and we talk about photography too. Joe McNally is the real deal. Like, he's cut his teeth on hardcore journalism all the way to fashion photography and everything in between.
He's still struggling, like not struggling, but he's still struggling to create.
I would like to say like he's still hustling after,
Yes.
50 years of shooting. He's still like hustling to get the next job. And that's the point where we all are in photography, especially nowadays with the economy. Like there's only a certain amount of jobs, especially in the corporate photography world, to go around.
Yep.
And they're getting harder and harder to find, and they're getting less and less profitable to shoot. And so you've got someone like us, and then you've got a Joe McNally going after the same business nowadays, right? I would pick Joe more than you picked me necessarily. But I would love to spend a day with him, because every time I watch one of his videos or listen to him just talk, we had the opportunity a few years ago to head to San Francisco and hear him talk at Sammy's camera.
Yep.
And all he did, he had no notes. He just shared stories of his life.
Yep, just went through the slides of pictures.
You and I came away from that night so incredibly motivated that it was like, oh, I think I could try to do that too, and I loved it. The other time I remember we were at WPPI. It was your first year of attending WPPI, and Joe McNally was speaking on the Nikon stage. And all he was doing is deconstructing and reconstructing a shot of a Las Vegas showgirl. And she was standing up there on the stage, and all she was doing is standing there. And he went from taking an amazing picture to dialing it all the way back to where he would normally start, and then brought it back up to amazing again. And
Yep.
Watching that workflow and process changed my photography life. It changed my way of thinking on how to shoot differently and how to really shoot linear, like go through the steps to make sure that you get a great photo.
That was a great opportunity, because it goes back to what I said in the beginning about I know what I want in my head,
Yep.
and when I click it, I'm going, it's not going to happen.
100%.
We watched Joe do that on stage. He went click, and he had a puzzled look on his face. I remember, because it blew me away. His final product, he was like, you know what? Let's just turn you around. And he had us as the audience, as the backdrop.
Yep.
He went from using a backdrop to, I'm not going to get anything I'm going to like, to flip it around. And now he's like, let's just work it this way. Anyway, he was like, let's see what we can do. Whether he had that planned or not, I don't think he did.
No.
By the time he had that final image, we both went, wow.
Oh, it was amazing.
That's ready to print.
It was an amazing picture. So that would be my guy that I would want to go to.
Yep, that would be a good choice.
Yeah. So here's what I want to do. Let's kind of move into the rapid fire round, right? So like I've got a list of questions here that I've written down, and I'm gonna burn through them. And the rules with rapid fire, maybe we need some rapid fire music. Rapid fire. Yeah.
Don't be no. Trust me, you don't want me to rapid fire the music.
So these are our quick snapshot questions. That's a good name for it. Snapshot questions. So
Okay.
it's our snapshot question segment, and there's 6 of them. I'm gonna read them fast one at a time, but you're gonna answer them one at a time. And you need to just give me the answer right off the top of your head. Don't expound on it. Just read it. Okay.
Let's see if I can
Okay.
do that.
So, favorite camera and lens combo.
24-70 Nikon Z8
Okay. Early morning, golden hour.
golden hour,
Black and white, vibrant colors.
vibrant color,
Landscape or portrait.
portrait.
One photography tip for beginners.
Learn how to use flash.
Perfect. Okay.
So
Right.
you ready? We're gonna flip the switch and the script, and I'm gonna ask you those same questions. So again, just rapid fire. Tell me what comes to your head.
I'm ready.
All right. Favorite camera and lens combo.
Okay. 20 Nikon Z8 with my 85.
Okay. Early morning or golden hour.
I am a golden hour guy.
Okay. I don't like getting up early either. Black and white or vibrant colors.
Oh, vibrant all the way.
Yep. Landscape or portrait.
Portrait.
Okay. One photography tip for beginners.
Don't be lazy.
There you go.
Tell 'em.
Man, that is our mantra, right?
I want to expand on that real quick. I know
Okay.
Oh man, I'm breaking the rule already. I set these rules and I break.
But that was, you went through the question, so now we can expound because...
So don't be lazy. You and I, in fact, we made a video said, we finally found the world's laziest photographers. We've actually made 2 videos about that.
Yeah.
And both those times when we found the world's laziest, we had to look hard. Actually, we didn't look very hard. We looked right down the end of our nose because it's us, right? We are the world's laziest photographers. But I think everybody is.
Yeah, we didn't come up with that for others. We came up with don't be lazy for ourselves. Because we say it to each other every time we shoot together.
And you know what's really funny is it's kind of become our catchphrase for Chopstick Guys is don't be lazy. And people are telling us nowadays, and we had somebody write us it was a couple weeks ago now, that they said, I hear you in my head every time I go to a photo shoot. And I love that, right? And it's not that they're hearing voices in their head, but they're hearing don't be lazy. Because what happens is you get through a photo shoot, we're both guilty of this. We bring everything in our studio and put it in our car. Do we need to do that? No, it's dumb. But then we have all this stuff packed in our car. We get after the photo shoot like, oh, it's 25 steps over there. I don't want to bring out my big soft box and my, beauty dish and an extra stand.
Yeah, I might have to carry it.
I'll have to carry it. I'll just bring my easy to carry soft box and my short lightweight stand. And I don't want to bring my camera bag even because it's too heavy, right?
Yeah.
And so, we
I had to do that. I had to do it the other night. I shot a maternity session the other night. I was telling you this story of I had this great idea in my head. I said, this is going to work. I pulled out a 1x4 strip box. I'm quite a ways away from my car when I realize I'm not getting the image I want. I need my medium octabox.
Yeah.
And I just kept looking at the car going, man, do I really can't I'm just going to make this work. And for a couple of times, I kept turning the softbox to try to move how that light was falling on my subject. And I finally went, I got to go back to the car because I kept hearing myself saying, don't be lazy, don't be lazy, don't. And so I finally said, okay, I'm not going to be lazy. And went, I got to go back to the car and change my softbox. So I went and I did that and got the image that I wanted. But I'll tell you, 5-10 years ago, I would have just said, oh, well, I'm just going to make it work. But
yeah. Oh, definitely. Definitely. So how do you think, your photography, right? The big problem in photography, you had talked about Instagram a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And that the fact of, it's kind of ruined photography. But I think it's also helped because it's getting people interested in photography. There's more pictures taken nowadays than any other time in history. But the problem with Instagram is we compare ourselves to everybody. I see so much great, and I don't know if the pictures are even real at this point. But like the pictures that you see on Instagram, as you're scrolling down through it, you're like, oh, that's an amazing picture. I wish I could be like them. Oh, that's another great portrait. How do they do that? I can't do that. I don't have this that I need. I don't have that I need. I don't have the skills. I don't have the equipment, whatever it is. So how do you think that your photography is different than others or better than others nowadays?
That's a hard one to answer because, as much as I can again complain about Instagram, it has affected my style of photography for the better. It does push me to be better, but I get what you're saying. There's times when I'll look through Instagram and go, oh, I suck. I'm not a good photographer at all. Daily, I look at that and say that. But the reality is, you just got to do what you do. It took you and I a long time in our business to figure that out of we got to quit trying to be something we're not. We have to just be the photographers that we are, the people we are, and let the chips fall where they may. Always try to get better. But, Instagram has a huge effect. I remember, I know you know this, in the last 3 years, one day I said, hey, Steve, you got to check out this young photographer named Eli. And he just was new on the scene, Eli Infante, and I loved his work. I was like, man, it's so vibrant. It's got this dark, dramatic look to it all.
Let's use an Instagram word. You were obsessed. I'm obsessed.
And it was like, I got to figure out how he's doing this. So I kept watching, kept going. I'm taking people out, trying this style because I'm thinking, I love this style. But I think after a while, I incorporated parts from that where I went, okay, this is more my taste. Maybe I like it a little darker, or I like it a little bit lighter, or, whatever it was. Maybe it was a coloring that I liked better for my own taste. You start sprinkling your own, seasoning on a photo, and you develop a style. But I think, like, again, a young guy like Eli has really affected, an Instagram photographer. Well, he's not an Instagram photographer. He is a legitimate, photographer. It influenced my work. Joe McNally, you talk about him. You talk about Joe McNally, David Hobby, Zach Arias.
Right, you're showing your age there.
Exactly. Those guys, this is pre-Instagram, but social media. It was, you talk about obsessed. I was obsessed with Zach Arias. This guy was creating incredible images using one small softbox.
Yep.
When every other pro was going, oh, he's stupid. He doesn't know what he's doing. You can't make a living with one softbox. He's not doing it right. But he was crushing it. He was killing it. And then David Hobby comes along and starts teaching people how to create those types of images with one softbox, with one speed light, with a shoot-through umbrella, whatever it was. And that set me on my journey, was social media, seeing people's images and going, I want to create that.
Yep.
So.
No, I think we've all been there. I think, so like if you think of yourself in comparison to others, right? So I would talk about Instagram and comparing. Like, how are you different? What is your differentiator in your photography versus someone on Instagram? Like, why would they choose Mark Barons or, Chopstick Guys to have them shoot the pictures rather than somebody else?
I don't think anymore that's a question that can be answered by, here's why they choose it. Because I'll say it by, I think here's why people choose photographers. We choose to do business with the people we like. Yep. It's a very personal thing. You and I have talked about we used to do a lot more senior portraits. We don't do as many anymore because we start going, we're not really relevant.
Kind of aged out a little bit.
We've aged out a bit, so where, this young high school kid's going, yeah, I want this old guy to shoot my pictures. He's going to make me look really hip. And even me saying the word hip, right, is not very hip. But, people make decisions just to shoot with and, and to hire the people they really like to work with. And so, commercial work's different. That's why we like commercial work. A lot of times you don't even meet the people until it's the day you're going to shoot. But when it comes to portraits, you're going to choose the person that you want to have shoot your wedding. Mm-hmm. A lot of times it's not based on their work, but based on, hey, I like this person, I think I like this person. They look like they would be one of my friends. That's that sort of thing. That makes sense?
It does. It does. In fact, so I was telling you right before we jumped on this podcast, I had a wedding consult yesterday. So, bride inquired about us shooting the wedding. We only shoot 6 weddings a year, approximately, and then we do that on purpose. Mm-hmm. We actually really enjoy shooting weddings, but we want to put 100% of the effort into each day that the wedding is. So we cap it at 6, and they're 100% referral. We don't market weddings. We don't ask people, can I shoot your wedding? None of that. It's all people that have been referred to us. So the thing is, I ended up, and I told the bride this yesterday, I asked her a bunch of weird questions in the beginning that had nothing to do with, they're weird and fun, but nothing to do with her wedding, right? And it kind of caught her off guard. I mean, it's something even simple as I asked her, so when you're binge watching Netflix, do you go for the genre of dramas or comedies, right? And it was all those type of questions I asked her that got me to know her on a deeper level rather than finding out, yes, she's got 7 bridesmaids and 7 groomsmen and the wedding's at, 3:30 in the afternoon in October and all the different stuff that you have to find out. But this allowed me to get to know her on a much deeper, intimate level that by the time the call ended, there was no question she's going to use us for the wedding. because she felt so incredibly comfortable and felt like I knew her on a personal level and she knew me. Because I told her, I said, the purpose of this call that we're having is I'm interviewing you just as much as you're interviewing me. Since we only take 6 weddings a year, I have to make sure that you are the perfect fit. And based upon the call, she is the perfect fit. But we've turned down people that have inquired because it's not.
Yeah, I had one a while back, and I remember calling you going, Steve, I'm bidding this wedding. I'm not sure I want it. And you were like, then bid it high. If we get it, we get it. But if you're
real high, yeah.
Real high, if you think that, let's get paid to do it because we're not going to enjoy doing it. So, yeah.
Guess what? We didn't do it. But yeah, so we're just talking about, but yeah, that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're kind of winding down. I got one question to ask you.
Fire
I think
away.
this is a good final discussion for you and I to have. And we've had this question between the two of us quite a bit lately. We've both recently upgraded our cameras, and we're both shooting Z8s right now. Do you think, because we live in this golden age of photography right now. Our equipment is so good. I don't care if you're shooting Canon, Nikon, Pentax, whatever. You've got a great camera.
Pentax.
Doesn't matter what product you're using. They're all incredible.
That is true.
Do you think, does gear make you a better photographer?
No. So I think, here's my answer. So I don't think new gear, better gear makes you a better photographer. I think it makes your results better.
Okay.
Right? Because just what you're saying, we're living in the golden days of photography. There's never been better cameras than there are today. Like, you can have a monkey take a picture with my camera. It's going to look pretty good.
Yep.
Just by clicking the button. Like, I don't have to do as much to make the picture turn out well. But with that said, the cameras are very advanced nowadays. If you don't take time to learn your camera, just by having a Z8 is not going to make you a better photographer. So you used to shoot with a D850, regarded as the best DSLR ever produced by anybody, right? The Z8 is really the follow-up in mirrorless to the D850. So it's kind of the same for you shooting with that, right? So but your struggle going from a non-850 to an 850, so you had, much lower level camera before you went to an 850, you really struggled with your 850. So
yeah,
the gear did not make you a better photographer. In fact, it made you a worse photographer because you struggled so much with learning how to take a good picture. The results that came out of the camera, even when you're struggling, were fabulous. The same problem is happening right now with the Z8. The thing is a beast of a camera.
Yeah.
It takes amazing files. The files that come out of it are beautiful. But I struggle a little bit just learning the difference in the focusing system from what I'm used to. The difference in just shooting a very high megapixel camera that I'm used to. Like, just there's some things operationally, it's different. So I don't think I'm a better photographer. I really like the results. I think the results are better. But does that answer that?
It does. No, I totally agree. We put so much emphasis on camera gear. And like you said, yes, we will get better results. But better photography, no. And the only way you're going to become a better photographer, I think, is you have to get out there and do it. I always had this thing I used to tell everybody is you have to fail to learn. Like, you got to go out and you got to make a ton of mistakes.
Yep.
That's why we always say, like, we scratch our heads when we hear people in our workshops. They'll come to a workshop like they went to one 3 months ago, and then they come to this one, and they go, look at this photo, and then they hit their back button. And we're like, you still have photos from our last workshop on there? And they're like, yeah, I haven't downloaded those yet. And we're going, how are you going to get better until you download those? You not look at a lot of times what you did right, find out what you did wrong.
Yeah.
Because that is the only way you're going to learn photography is to fail.
100%.
I shared this just the other day, well, we did a live yesterday, and I was just sharing the fact that, I had about a month period of time where I wasn't doing a lot of shooting prior to the holidays. There's some things going on in my family that pulled me away from a lot of photography. And then all of a sudden I get this flood of people going, I want family photos right before Christmas, the week before, families coming into town, and I'm pulling out the camera, and in just 3 weeks I got rusty. It took like the beginning. I actually, last night, I sat and watched something on Amazon Prime while I cut somebody out of a photo and pasted them into another photo of their family, because the first section of photos that I did with this family, I'm not happy with, and I'm not going to give them those photos. They're just bad. Yep. They were my warm-up. It's been a long time since I can say, man, I have failed. And on those ones, I totally failed. And then they were like, okay, you gave us enough photos, but we're missing a photo of my son and his wife and his 2 kids by themselves separately. That's a whole nother subject when you shoot family photos, when you don't agree to, like, yeah, I'm going to shoot every individual family and you kind of, pepper some extra photos in there. But when you do that, beware that they're going to come back to you and go, oh, where's that photo? So this one, it just didn't work. The wind was blowing, the sun was in the wrong place, their hair was glowing crazy, and the kids were crying, and then they're going, where's those photos? And so last night I'm like, okay, I'm going to give her a photo, because I'm a people pleaser. I want to make sure that my customers are happy. So I'm like, I'm going to cut the daughter-in-law out and put her in that photo with her family, because I have a great photo of the dad and the kids. Yep. And so I spent like 2 hours making this special picture just for her. And, it was all because I was just getting rusty. I would have, today, I would never shoot that first setup. And even though we always say it's the bullpen, usually when we start shooting people, it's the warm-up. You're just throwing a few pitches. Customers don't know that. They're just going, okay, you took these photos. They have to be good. And they're expecting to see them.
And you're thinking the whole time, oh, I'm never going to show these. But yeah, you click the shutter, they want to see what it is.
Yep. And a lot of that problem was not also being rusty. It was you throw a new camera on top of that. So during that time, I get this new Z8, and you said it right. It probably has one of the most advanced, one of the best focusing systems, but I don't yet know what works for me. Yeah, I would have thought, oh yeah, I'll just shoot it like my Z6 II. Like I just used that focusing choice. Didn't work. It wasn't getting me what I got on my Z6 II. So
it's learning. Always be learning.
Got to learn.
And unfortunately, most people don't take time to do that. So speaking of time, we're almost up. Spent a lot of time talking. Not bad for episode 2. But we plan on doing a lot more of these episodes. So we actually never even mentioned this, but Mark and I are Westcott top pros. We're pros for Stella Pro Lights. We're ambassadors for Spider Holster, for
Cheetah Stand,
and a lot of different relationships we have with different companies. But that gives us access to a lot of different photographers in the industry that we consider the quote big shots, right? So of the industry that we will have on this podcast and have some fun interviews with them and just get some good tips and tricks from them and what made them successful. But that's our plan, is to just go through and just talk to people, and hopefully you find it enjoyable too as a listener and a viewer. We love doing what we do. We love photography. We're pretty passionate about it, and love sharing our little bit of knowledge with other people, but mostly just our fun. And so we just asked that if you enjoyed this, that in whatever format you're listening to it, that you like it, that you subscribe to it, write us comments. We love to hear them, as long as they're positive. If they're negative, you can write to Mark. If they're positive, write to me. But
that's right. You can check on panopticchopsticks.com, and you can see us. Yeah, you can see the live workshops that we're doing. You come out and attend a workshop with us. We've got a number of things coming up that are on the website, so check that out as well.
Yeah, that's part of our big business, or big part of our business, I should say, is that we do workshops all the time. And these, there's a way, and we won't take very long explaining this, but when people think of workshops, a lot of times they're thinking of being talked to, right? And not a lot of shooting time. So our workshops are extremely interactive. Our workshops are a learning environment where you get to learn by doing, right? We do actual workshops like that, but we also do big photo experiences, which are things like our Salt Flats experience, our Las Vegas experience. These are our true bucket list experiences where you get to go out and shoot in areas that you normally don't get to shoot in. And we've got great
with a bunch of really cool people.
Oh, it's just a blast.
It's just not us as the really cool people. We get to shoot with some of the nicest people in the world.
It's amazing. So you can come to one of our workshops, come to one of our experiences, or just pop in and say hello. We love people, love sharing with you. But anyways, like, subscribe. We'd love to have you join us on the next episode of The Big Shot. Until then, don't forget, don't be lazy.